This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. Chase Sr. here with you. Appreciate all of you hanging out right here on the program. And coming up, I'm going to explain why the Niners trading for perennial All-Pro and Pro Bowl cornerback Jalen Ramsey makes a lot more sense than you think. And San Francisco is linked to a potential trade for the Dolphins star. Ian Rapoport breaking this news this morning that kind of came as a surprise to a lot of people that the Dolphins and seven-time Pro Bowler Jalen Ramsey mutually set to explore trade options, and it wouldn't be a surprise if he played elsewhere in 2025. Miami and Ramsey do $25.1 million in fully guaranteed money this season, could be parting ways. And it's crazy to a certain degree because it wasn't even a year ago last year where the Dolphins signed Ramsey, one of the top corners of this generation of football, to a 3-year contract worth $72.3 million. That $25.1 million number guaranteed this upcoming season. But here's the deal, and this is why it could make some semblance of sense for San Francisco. If Ramsey is traded, it's actually the Dolphins that have to eat a lot of the dead money. They would absorb a cap hit of $25.2 million, whereas the acquiring team would only have to pay Ramsey this year $5.92 million. Spotrac on the Jalen Ramsey financials here. This is really from the Dolphins' perspective. The dead cap structure on the deal makes the trade before June 1 complicated, as the Dolphins would stand to take on $29.2 million and a $12.5 million cap loss. If a trade is processed after June 1, that's $29.2 that would be split as $10.7 million in 2025, $18.5 in 2026, representing a $5.9 million cap savings for this upcoming season. Another reason why this makes sense for San Francisco, the connections that Ramsey has with the Niners. So when he was drafted out of Florida State, Gus Bradley, who's now the assistant head coach on this Niners staff and an assistant under new defensive coordinator Robert Saleh, was the Jags head coach in 2016. He got fired after the 2016 campaign, but he knows Jalen Ramsey well and was part of the team and front office structure that drafted him to Jacksonville. Guess who was also on that staff that year before becoming the Niners defensive coordinator in 2017 after San Francisco hired Kyle Shanahan, who was the OC for the Atlanta Falcons? Robert Saleh, the new Niners defensive coordinator, back for a second stint, was the Jags linebackers coach in 2016 when Jalen Ramsey was a rookie. And then you think about the Niners roster right now, in particular on the defensive side of the ball. They have needs at edge. They have needs at defensive tackle, multiple of them. They have a need at linebacker. They also need another cornerback, because as things stand right now, if the season were to start today, you'd have Renardo Green and Deommodore Lenoir locked in as starters for San Francisco. But the Niners would have a decision to make. Do you have Trey Brown, a former 4th-round pick by Seattle out of Oklahoma a few years ago, who's been unproven and injured a lot, as an outside corner? Would you have him in the slot? If he's in the slot, Deommodore Lenoir played very well last year outside for San Francisco, with Charvarius Mooney-Ward missing so much time, and Renardo Green, a 2nd-round pick from last year's draft, is primarily an outside guy. Or do you move Lenoir back inside, where he's been one of the more elite slot nickel corners in the National Football League? Lenoir having positional versatility at outside or inside corner gives the Niners some options, but they really don't have a bona fide third corner on this team. A lot of the backups either unproven or they're not starting caliber players. And so you trade for Jalen Ramsey, you keep Renardo Green on the outside where he's comfortable, where he played very well as a rookie. You have Ramsey on the other outside corner spot, manning that, and then you just slide Lenoir back inside. And that gives San Francisco a very viable, and I would say a top 10 overall cornerback room in the National Football League. Last year, Ramsey played 728 of 1,000+ snaps at outside corner. He could play a little bit in the slot, but at 30 years old, he's not really slowing down at all. And he is still a very upper echelon outside corner in this league. And as we further this conversation, a lot of you are probably asking yourselves, okay, Jalen Ramsey has some connections to this Niners coaching staff. He's still playing really well, and we'll show you those numbers coming up. What would the compensation be to land a player of Ramsey's caliber? Because of the contract and because of the age, you don't have to part ways with the first-round pick. I love our Dolphins Today host, Nick Roloff, but his trade idea was the Niners giving up a first-round pick for Ramsey this year, moving back to take the Dolphins pick. Dolphins move up to number 11, and then parting ways with the first-rounder next year. No chance in hell I'm ever doing that. But the Niners have 2 third-round picks, 75 and 100, and 2 picks each in the 4th and 5th rounds. So let's say you part ways with the third, and then you have a couple of picks at your disposal that you can give Miami in the 4th and or 5th rounds. And then you bring in Jalen Ramsey, who really helps out your defense and makes that unit a lot better. Are there some concerns with him? Of course. He's been disgruntled at some point everywhere he's been. Forced his way out of Jacksonville. They were bad. I don't blame him. Goes to the Rams, plays elite football. Toward the end of the stint there, he wanted to move on. He goes to Miami, just signed a contract extension last year. Florida isn't a bad place to be. You have a player-friendly coach who never gets on you. You have no state income tax. You just signed a contract, and now he wants out of Miami. So everywhere he's been unhappy at some point, but you'd be landing and bringing in one of the top cornerbacks in the National Football League. And I know some people will say, Chase, this is clickbait. Oh my gosh, it's the laziest comment in internet history, by the way. But look at the Jalen Ramsey next team odds. The Niners have the 4th best odds to trade for him at 7-1, behind the Cowboys at 6-1, Cardinals at 5-1, and the Raiders at 4-1. So there is some stock, and we're going to continue coming up to outline reasons for why a Jalen Ramsey trade makes sense for the Niners. Stay tuned for that. But first, let's pop up today's poll question. Should the Niners trade for Jalen Ramsey? Type T for trade or P for pass. You can play the role of general manager down in the comments section right now. Let your voices be heard and debate it with other Niner fans down in the comments section right now. Our show today made possible thanks to our friends at Game Time. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed, and you can save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets to go to sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, theater events, and a whole lot more. They also have a bunch of awesome features. Game Time Picks, for instance, makes last-minute ticket buying easier and faster than ever by quickly highlighting the best deals in the stadium. Zone deals, you can save even more when you choose a section and you let Game Time choose the seats. You can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. There's also the lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. You can go to a San Francisco Giants game. You can go to a Warriors play-in or playoff game. If they make it out of the play-in tournament, you can go to a Niners game in the fall. Niners, concerts, more. Here's the deal. Take the guesswork out and buy tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account. Use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem the code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. As for Ramsey and how he's playing at this juncture of his career, because he was taken all the way back in that 2016 NFL draft out of Florida State, 5th overall by Gus Bradley in Jacksonville, 30 years old. He's going to be 31 in October, so this upcoming season. But last year, he graded out very well for a Dolphins defense that was kind of Overall grade of 76.9, 16th among 222 qualifying corners. A pass rush grade of 76.5, 19th. So he's not bad if you want to use him as a chess piece and use him as a blitzer from time to time, he can do that and do that well. At this point of his career, maybe you have him play more from the slot. I saw Asante Samuel saying at this point of his career, playing him at safety could work out well and bode well to extend his career, and he could play a longer period of time there because he doesn't have to move as much. Look, I still think that he could play corner by just looking at these numbers. Her run defense grade of 85.7, that was 10th at the position. He really has a knack for making plays against the run. A willing tackler when he's engaged, pretty physical too, and he can make plays behind the line of scrimmage. A coverage grade of 71.9, that'll still play. At 39, when he was targeted, only gave up a completion rate of 54.2%, only gave up 3 touchdowns in coverage, but had 2 picks while dropping back, 9 pass breakups on 48 targets. That's a pretty good number. He was top 20 in coverage snaps among all corners last year, so he's been durable, doesn't miss a lot of games. Tied for 8th in pass breakups while in man coverage. Of note, since Kyle Shanahan became head coach of the Niners, they're number 1 in zone rate defensively, but they do want to make some changes defensively. So could they play a little bit more man? If you do that, Ramsey can be on an island, and he had the fifth lowest passer rating when targeted, when dropping back in man coverage. So all of that being said, Jalen Ramsey can still play at a high level. He would dramatically upgrade this 49ers secondary. He has ties to this coaching staff. At his age, with his wealth of experience, he's played in a bunch of different systems and schemes. The Niners have a need at that cornerback spot, and it's not like you have to pay him a ton of money. The Dolphins, if they trade him, would be the team that has to eat a lot of cash. There's also this. Ramsey had 12 TFLs last year from Miami. That would have ranked second behind Nick Bosa on the 2024 Niners defense. So, look, I think that the Niners are going to continue to go about this in a youth movement manner. I think they want to build through the draft, but they have a huge need at that cornerback spot. And this is a player that I think the Niners should be interested in, and it makes sense to target a player like this. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Whenever the Niners make a move, we talk about it. Whenever there's a juicy report out there or a big player linked to the Niners, we discuss it. Also give you some great analysis here on the program as well. Don't forget to also give me a follow on social media. I'm on X and Instagram at Chase_Senior. So much Niners content over there as well.